Good morning and welcome to Frank's School, 42nd day of the 7th year first video. Pretty much first and only video. That's the way it's been for days. That's the way it normally is. The making of Resurrection. The making of the movie Resurrection. The characters. I want to sum up the characters. Act 1, I've already moved on to Act 2 just a little bit because I had a kind of an idea of how it could happen, but I want to stop and sum up who are all these characters. I mean, what a mess this looks like, but I think I can go through it kind of quickly. In the middle here is the village itself in a state of destruction. Its oldest name that I know is Conemaugh, but by about the 1890s it was called Oppenheimer. It had a post office here. That's the man who bought it and mined it. And then after it was eventually sold at sheriff's sale in the 1940s, my grandfather, J.J. Camp, bought it, and it became known as the Camp Ranch. After he died, it was divided into the Antonson Farm, we called it for a while, and then the Palmer, my aunt and uncle's side. But anyway, that doesn't really matter, but there is what you see at the beginning. You get a glimpse of what it looked like as Conemaugh, and then the way it looks like in its destruction. All right, the first character is Marion. He's the old guy. His timbre is a drum. I don't think I'll change that. He is a seer. He's based on Ilmarinen. He's a seer, but he's also a healer from other literature. But he will be in the process actually of healing this village, bringing more than healing it, resurrecting it. So he appeared. That's where it starts. He looks, and then his daughter, Bryn, appears. She comes walking out of the woods. He's based on Ilmarinen, and she's based on Brunhilde. Her timbre is a recorder, either an alto, probably an alto recorder or tenor. She also, in earlier literature, is a healer. Not so much a seer. She's mated with David, but you don't really know that, except maybe at the very end when she walks into the woods, David may come out to meet her. Presumably they live somewhere up there on a mountain. She is associated with goats. She's got a herd of goats. She's a goat herd, I guess you'd call. And she approaches. The next one that approaches is Festus. 1, 2, 3, Festus. Festus is this really big, strong, scary-looking guy. In my mind, I cast him as a black man. Wouldn't have to be, but I just happen to know a man that would fit that part really well. I think and would be willing to do it. He's based on Hephaestus or Vulcan, the armorer, the craftsman, the blacksmith of the gods. And his metal is his kind of domain, and as I say, he's very strong. His timbre is bassoon. Each one of these has a theme that announces them. Now, to what extent I'm going to continue those themes the whole way through the movie, I'm not sure at this point, actually. They'll probably reappear, but there may be additional themes. Anyway, these two, Marion and Festus, actually become, they work together a good bit, because Ilmarinen was, in the Finnish Kalevala, Ilmarinen was the craftsman of the gods, and actually Ilmarinen was always working on something called the Sampo. And I thought, maybe that would be a good name for the village, the Sampo, or even the movie, I don't know. No one knows exactly what the Sampo was, but he was always working on it. Well, he appears. By this time, we could use something to lighten things up, and Bacchus now appears. Bacchus is based on Bacchus. He loves to cook. He loves to eat, well, and especially eat and drink. But cooking, baking, brewing, these things he does largely so he and everybody else can eat and drink. He's comical. He farts. His timbre is whistles of various kinds. Oh, no, I'll show you this in a moment. Whistles of various kinds and horns, and it could be he might end up having some pigs who he would just delight in his little pigs he likes. A likable character. He'll cry or he'll laugh like that. Big fat guy. All right, so he appears. Now, and we continually go back into Marion's eyes, as in a sense he's summoning these characters. He's bringing them out of nowhere, you might say. And then Nama comes. Nama is like a... I hesitate a little bit to use the word nymph, because then nymphomaniac comes to mind. She's a water goddess. And that name actually is a name of one of the most ancient goddesses that there is. Water is her thing. Water, and she's a comforter. I say I don't want to make her a healer as well, but this relationship here between Festus and Nama can be something that you can almost play with the viewer's mind on that. Is it lust? Maybe. And what's wrong with Festus? She's beautiful. She lusts for him, maybe. Or is it her realizing that he's injured? I forgot to say, he's crippled, as Festus was. There is an opportunity for her to comfort, if not heal. Eventually, Nama and Marion, by the very end, the way I think about it, that would be at the very end. It would be quite a surprise. She also realizes that he's so old that he could use comfort as well. All right, so Batch and Nama. Well, everybody likes Batch. Everybody likes Batch. Batch is, he's feeding him. What is there to not like about Batch? So anyway, she appears. That's the fifth character. Now the sixth comes as a package. Robin is the woman. She's based, you might say, on Hestia or Athena. They're a couple. I mean, this is basically the nuclear family, the happy couple, and they do remain quite happy. Although, as she arrives, we find out she's pregnant with her second child. She does have a child already. Her mate is Paul, based on Paul Bunyan, for lack of anybody else. Her domain is the home, the family, but it's the gardening. This is something that brings these two. These two share that gardening. And just as Bryn has her goats, Robin's got her fowl of various kinds, chickens and stuff. She's very much the sort of the homemaker. Paul, wood is his thing. Oh, and her timbre is a violin. Could be played so nicely with Paul, whose is a viola, or it could be a violin. Paul is the woodworker. Wood is his domain. And in this realm, building all these huts, as I've said, in reality, I'm building about 36 of them right now, and so the building of them, and that's kind of his domain. But also probably the firewood, the part that has to be done in the woods and stuff. They arrive in a pickup truck, which I guess wouldn't absolutely have to be there, but I think it reminds the viewer that this is not some faraway distant time. This is could be in present time, although the characters are pulled from gods and goddesses. They have a son, Robinson. Robin has a son, Robinson. I keep saying Robinson, crew member, because it's allusion to Robinson Crusoe, Swiss family Robinson. And Robinson's got a little dog named Bingo, a female, even though it's named Bingo. And his instrument, a kazoo. I got some kazoos. It's tricky to play because you want to blow it, you actually have to hum into it. Well, anyway, he's got his little kazoo, which is funny like Batches. And Babe is on the way. Now, Babe, one of the troubles with that name Babe is that's the name of Paul Bunyan's ox. And also, I guess my German friend Shirley said, like the pig in the movie. I guess there was a pig that herded sheep named Babe. I never saw that movie, but I knew what she was talking about. All right, now, where did they come from? When I imagined this for a Portuguese town, Chiqueiro, which I keep writing down, you could find it if you want. Chiqueiro and Palasnau is a bigger one. They were abandoned villages, but I had them come out of a community in Portugal. In my mind, it was a permaculture community, an eco village or something that they just decided they were going to go on adventure. So there is that community. Where did they come from? Don't have to really explain it in the movie. But that also brings me on to the extras, because that's enough characters now, plenty, for the first act and even the second act. But eventually we need extras when the apprentices arrive, and that would be the and they come sort of in the leadership of two characters, a man and a woman. And when they arrive, I'll say more about them. They're bicyclists that are going by and listening to rock and roll music and all that kind of bright costumes, and they go by and they see this. And I'll say more about that, I guess, when I get to it. But the extras, they could show up now, today, actually, because so much of this, and they would also be in the dance. They would be in the scenes of the market, the feta, the open market. But they could also help a whole lot in the building itself, the building of this. Because I've got about 2 years here, a year and a half, of a lot of building to do. And, you know, I'd love to teach people and show them how to do it. All right, well, that was a bunch. Bye for now.